Hi there, I'm Angela, and this is technically not a Friday Sews video because I have very little sewing content to share, so just a heads up there. But I do have a quick update to share with you guys, and mostly just to check in to say hello. I do apologize for the extreme lack of sewing content lately. That will change soon. So in the summer, like late spring, summer, early fall, pretty much my focus is on my garden. It takes up a lot of my time, so sewing kind of has to take a little bit of a back seat. But then as the seasons shift and the weather starts getting colder and it's darker out, that's when like my sewing kind of ramps really up. So it's coming soon. I thank you guys for your patience and sticking in here with me. I did actually get some sewing in this week. I'm just about finished with my top that I'm doing as part of a collaboration with Michelle from Michelle Sews Again. We are going to be doing the reveal on that top in early September. I'm pretty sure the exact date is September 4th. Of course, I'll give you guys more of a heads up as we get closer to that, and I realize we're already pretty close to that. So look forward to that. And so that's pretty much all the sewing I got done. I started the neck, the V, it has a little V-neck on it, so I did the binding on the V-neck and started on the rest of the neckline binding. And after that, it's just the hem. So it's on like the downhill slope now. It'll be done real soon. The reason for no sewing this week, it really wasn't the garden because that is already starting to kind of wind down. My husband and I adopted a new dog, and I'm going to introduce you guys to him here soon. His name is Farley. So kind of like the biggest part of this video might be talking about him and letting you guys meet him. So I'll give you a little bit of the backstory, at least as much as we know about him. So he was a rescue, of course. We worked with a local rescue organization, and he had been with a foster mom for about 2 weeks, but prior to that, all that we know is that he was pulled out of a shelter. I'm not sure if it was like a kill shelter or not, but he was pulled out of like a county animal shelter in the let me back up. So I'm in southern Ohio, and we border, like, we're just north of Kentucky. So we're real close to Kentucky. So he was pulled out of a shelter in Kentucky before going to the foster mom's house. I don't know like any details about him at all except as his background. We do know that he's about 1 year old. He's mostly black lab, maybe mixed with, we're thinking maybe a little bit of Rottweiler or German Shepherd, but by far his features resemble black lab, which we have had black lab mixes in the past, and we have such like a really soft spot in our hearts for the black labs. We weren't specifically looking for that this time. It just worked out that we found him and he needed a home, and they approved our adoption application. So we got him earlier this week, and we're kind of in this phase where we're all three, so it's just me, my husband, and Farley, and we're kind of all three like adapting to each other. We're trying to make sure that he feels like safe first and foremost, because who knows like what could have happened to him in his little life before ending up in a shelter. So making sure he has a safe environment, that he feels welcomed and lots of love. And he actually is very lovey. He's very sweet. He's affectionate. He's playful. And one good thing that we have noticed is that he doesn't seem to show any signs of fear at all. So that's good. That indicates to us that he probably wasn't abused prior to coming to live with us or being pulled out of the shelter. On the other side of that coin, he has had like zero training. He knows sit just a little bit, only if there's like food involved. So we're working on some like remedial commands. So sit and stay, sticking with us, like come, and how to take treats gently. He's got like kind of a bad habit of just like if you offer him a treat, you have to pretty much put it like in the palm of your hand or on the floor, because he'll just like grab it forcefully. And he's not being mean, it's just he's very exuberant. He's very, very strong. So we've already, in the few days that we've had him, come a long way with learning how to take treats gently. We're working on sit and stay. And the other big thing that he needs a little bit of help with, a lot of help with, is walking on a leash. So he is strong, very strong. He's about 65 pounds, so he's not like the biggest dog in the world, but he's got a lot of power. So walking him on a regular leash or a retractable, it's a challenge. It's really a challenge. So what we ended up doing was, we're working on that, but in the meantime, what we did is buy one of those gentle leaders. I don't know if you guys have seen those before, but they're kind of they're like a harness that goes around the dog's snout and then up behind the ears. And we used to have a lab Great Dane mix who was a little unruly, and we were able to walk him successfully with that while we got into the process of training him to walk nicely on a regular leash. So we picked up one of those gentle leader collars for him, and it like made a world of difference. Like even like our 11-year-old niece could walk him now. It's just, those things are so brilliant. I don't know if you guys have experience with those, share below. I'd love to know. It's made a world of difference. So for now, and especially when we're in a public place, we're using that gentle leader collar. So we took him to PetSmart last night because when we picked him up, the adoption took place at a PetSmart. So we found him online and we arranged a meet and greet with his foster mom at a PetSmart. I'm not sure if that PetSmart is just the U.S. chain or if some of the other countries have PetSmarts. They're like a superstore for all things related to pets, mostly dogs and cats, but some other pets too. So we met him at the PetSmart, and we could kind of tell that it was going to be a little bit of a challenge because he was like kind of crazy. But I think he was inundated with all the sights and the smells and the other people coming in with their dogs, and it was a lot. It's a lot for him to take in. But we could tell, there was a lot of potential for him to be such like a good family companion. And so we decided to like take the plunge. And previously we had looked at like a smaller puppy, like an 8-week-old puppy. But because we don't have a fenced yard, it was with another adoption agency, we were turned down. So it was disappointing, but I think it all worked out for the best because we are falling in love with Farley. And he's turning out to be really, really trainable. He seems to be eager to want to learn. We have a lot of training experience from our previous dog, so that's come in really helpful. And he seems to really want to learn. And one thing that's helping with that is that he's very like food focused, and I think that's because he's partially lab. If you guys have ever had Labradors, you know that they're all about the food, and that's really helpful when it comes to training. So just in the few days we've had him, I mean, he's come a long way. We're working on the gentle treats. That's going to be like a toughie, I think, but we're getting there. And we're working on sit, like anytime we say sit, not just when there's a treat involved, and stay. And he's doing good, so we're working on that. And let's see, what else? Yeah, the leash thing, that's going to be probably more of a long-term training program that we have him on. We'll get there. He'll get there. He's very bright and he seems eager to learn, as I mentioned. So, yes, I can't wait to share him with you guys. So hang on for that, and I'll put like a little video clip of him in here. So if you're curious and you heard me say that we don't have a fenced-in yard here and you're wondering kind of how we handle that, we do have a little bit of property here, and most of it's wooded, some of it kind of sparsely wooded like there, and then some of it more heavily wooded. So the way that we have handled that with our previous dogs is that anytime they are out, we are always with them. And either that's on leash until they become trained enough to walk off leash with us through the property, and we have trained them to come back upon calling them back to us. So they're never outside alone. Like we don't just like turn them loose and free-for-all, and we don't put them on a chain. So that's kind of how we've handled this. And we've already kind of been experimenting a little bit with having Farley outside off leash with us. And because we haven't even had him a week and we weren't sure how he would do, especially because, as you might guess, there's like squirrels because we have the trees, we kind of like dipped our toes into that just a little bit, like short little periods, like just off the porch to go do business. And because he's so treat oriented, it's very easy to get him to come back. So we're kind of building on that. And it's just today. So we took him to the dog park last night, and he did really well. We have tennis balls, of course. Anyone who has a lab has tennis balls. And we have one of those chucker devices. I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with that, but they're like long-handled plastic like wands that you stick the tennis ball in one end and you can fling the tennis ball really far. So he really loved that at the dog park, which is, of course, fenced in. So today we thought we would get a little brave, and because he's doing so well with his training in such a short time, we took him out here into our front property, and we threw the ball for him a few times, and he did really well. And coming back when called, I can't even believe that he's done so well. It kind of like what I've kind of been envisioning his backstory might have been is that maybe a family got him when he was little, and then saw that it was going to be a lot of work, and they didn't put the time in to train him or anything that could, make him like a canine good citizen so that he's well behaved and could be taken anywhere. They might not have done that, and then they ended up with like an unruly kind of dog on their hands. But they certainly must have loved him because he's very sweet. He sleeps in the bed, so I think that's kind of interesting. I don't really know the backstory, and maybe it's better that I don't. But anyway, suffice to say, he's really, really, really coming along well. We love him already, so let's meet him now.
Hey, Farley. Hi, good boy. Good boy. You got two toys. You got two toys. Good boy. Good boy. Oh, it's a good boy. Yes, it is. He's a good boy.
So what did you think? We're totally falling in love with him. He's a sweetie, and he seems to be getting really attached to us. So I feel like we're forming this bond that, that you're always looking for with your dog. Like the whole reason to get a dog is to have like this nice connection and a bond, and you could all become part of the same like family unit or what have you. So yeah, we love him, and that's about it for today. I promise I'll have more sewing content soon, and stick around for an announcement when it's time for Michelle and I to do our reveal for the collab we're working on. Hope you guys are having a great weekend, and I will talk to you, if not through the coming week, at least next weekend. And I hope you're getting some sewing in, more so than I am at least. Thank you guys so much for watching as always. I appreciate you sticking with me, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.